Oh, this was interesting. So this was I'll just play this real quick. You tell me what you think.
This is not toxic, and neither is this, or this, or this.
My 8-year-old daughter knows it's inappropriate, and yet y'all sit there silent.
This is not toxic. This is necessary, and you are not toxic. We think you're essential. You're indispensable to a healthy society, to creating strong families, chivalrous sons, and fearless daughters. So, here's to masculinity. Here's to XY.
XY is an athletics brand, just so you guys know. If you don't think that the whole positive masculinity thing as a grift isn't a thing, I think you just got to pay more attention. Now, remember, this is nothing. I don't disagree with anything that happened in this video, right? I think it's very contrived, but the problem is that it only focuses on one side of masculinity. So if we look at if you look at those guys who are doing like those, I'm sure you've seen these videos of these guys who like will be at very high heights and they'll like jump from like place to place to place. Or you've probably seen them where they jump off a bridge and they like go way, tumbling down like hundreds of feet into the water. Or that one Viking guy who gets like he's like in the ice, 2 axes, like he goes right into the water, like that kind. That's masculinity too. Taking risks, stupid, dumb fuck risks, driving too fast in your Camaro, that's masculinity too. Riding a motorcycle, riding all that stuff, fighting, that's masculinity too. Fucking, that's masculinity too. And the problem is that when you what my concern, here's why I brought this, I showed you this commercial, is, as I said before, the masculinity that causes a guy to run into a burning building and save a baby, a firefighter runs into a burning building and saves a baby. That's the same masculinity that the guy who jumped off the bridge into the hundreds of feet below, into the river below. It's the same thing. It's just applied differently. But one is toxic. One is, this is why women have longer lives. The other one is, oh, this is pro-social. Well, when the floodwaters rise, we need men. One is, we need men because they're a great utility. You're a servant. You're a tool. We need this. Oh, break up a fight? How awesome would that be? Well, the same thing is like when you see some kid head stomp some other kid, that's masculinity. Masculinity is violent. Masculinity sometimes is ugly. You got to take the ugly with the good. Now, hopefully, you're cultivating and you're teaching and you're doing all this stuff that redirects that masculine energy to constructive rather than destructive pursuits. But it doesn't mean that those destructive pursuits aren't there as well. And that's the problem that everyone has. So when we're talking about toxic masculinity, right now, I don't even know why we call it toxic masculinity, because for the most part, especially if you're one of these dumb fucks putting out or being a producer of adolescence, masculinity is just toxic. Everything. There is no such thing as non-toxic masculinity, because eventually what happens is, in a gynocentric society, in a gynocentric social order, to be a more perfected, to be human at all, is to be female. That's what you want to know. What happened with the late 60s, early 70s feminists, the militant feminists of Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, and stuff like that, all the luminaries of that time, was we need here. This is, I'm paraphrasing again, but to get equality, we need to actively disadvantage men. That was it was a zero-sum game. Sorry, Richard Reeves, but that's the way it started, and that's the way it's got to end. And everybody keeps saying, well, maybe we can find some way that we, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. We can advantage men and we don't have to disadvantage women. It doesn't matter, because in a gynocentric social order, if you say women ought to do X, and this is exactly what got Matt Walsh all in hot water with fucking with Megyn Kelly, is because he was saying, well, women need to have a gentle soul or whatever religion. They need to have a blessed day, namaste, right? They need to have some sort of like feminine qualities to them, right? Women don't hear quiet soul, quiet spirit. They don't hear, they don't hear classic femininity in the words of a man, Matt Walsh. You know what they hear? They hear Matt Walsh advocating for Gilead, the fantasy setting for the Handmaid's Tale. Well, he thinks we should all go and wear red frocks and white nun hats or something like that. They will take it to the most absurd degree that they possibly can, because that's where we're at. Men must be actively disadvantaged to have any kind of equality. So when I hear like Matt or any of the other guys to talk about like, oh, or we'll have even Scott Galloway will say something like this. Oh, they think that they're feminists. And so feminists think we live in some sort of tyrannical patriarchy. No, they don't. Patriarchy's dead. It died in the fucking 60s, man. It died. Patriarchy has died a very slow death from the time hormonal birth control was invented and the sexual revolution started. Like patriarchy was dead by the 90s, man. But we still cling to the idea that endemic sexism is still a problem and patriarchy this and patriarchy that. Bullshit. You've had 60, 65 some odd years to make that case, and I still haven't heard a valid one in a long time. Oh, well, there's still more women or still more men in Congress than there are women. Again, because the belief is not in patriarchy. The belief is for there to be equality, we must actively disadvantage men. That's what it comes down to. There are no waves of feminism. There never have been. There's only been one feminism, and that has been a supremacism movement from the very beginning, from 1848 at Seneca Falls. It's just been interrupted by wars and social unrest and technological inventions and everything else. It's this Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem are following in the footsteps of everybody who was at the Seneca Falls Convention. Exactly the same shit. It's just been broken up by historical events. That's all. There are no first waves. Oh, well, the suffragettes were great. No, they were terrorists. They were considered terrorists back then. Second wave, third wave, whatever the hell you want to call it. Now they want to be men. No. People, I love it when people like I have this. People think that this is my saying. It's not. It's actually Gloria Steinem when I say, women are becoming the men that they want to marry. That's Gloria Steinem. That's not Rollo Tomassi. That was 1970. And we're still talking about it today. We haven't moved on. Feminism is a dead meme. Equality between parity between sexes is a dead meme, because we know enough about evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology right now to know that those social movements and those psychologies and that sort of parasocial order is all bullshit. The blank slate, bullshit. Social constructionism, well, guess what? Anything social is downstream from biology. Social constructionism, bullshit. Egalitarianism, well, we know that whenever you put women, how do women organize society? In communitarianism, just like they would do in a hunter-gatherer tribe. The women all are the berry pickers and they stay in their circle, and men go out and they have hierarchies. Men are hierarchical, women govern in the round. What happens when you put women into positions of power? They go and they try to govern in the round. Women will trade liberty for security because they are the vulnerable sex. Who's going to provide the security? Men. That's who's going to supply it for. So egalitarianism, dead meme. And last but not least, emotionalism, also dead meme. Is no way to organize a society. A rational, empirical society that relies on data and relies on reason is always going to outperform the one that's like, oh, follow your heart, it'll never fail you. So those four pillars of leftist liberalism, social constructionism, the blank slate, emotionalism, and egalitarianism. Take any social issue of our time right now, and I will point out which one of those pillars it's based on. Knock that pillar out, and the whole thing falls apart. Got to go back to where the source is. When you knock those things out, then suddenly the hierarchical, empirical way of men organizing society becomes a lot more efficient. But God forbid Rollo Tomassi or some man bring that up. I'm sure at some point in history, there'll be some chick who's going to see this and she's going to repeat verbatim what I just said. And everybody go, yeah, that sounds like we should do that. Man says it. You want the Handmaid's Tale. Is that what you're steering us towards a handmaiden's tale?